Hello, thine fair subscribers. This week, we discussed the 1999 teen rom-com 10 Things I Hate About You, a modern adaptation of Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew. Born April 26th, 1564, Shakespeare is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. His works have been modernized several times over, with 10 Things I Hate About You being the one with the greatest number of grunge music, teen parties, and ironic wit. Shakespeare produced most of his known works over a 24-year period between 1589 and 1613, long before the concept of teen parties, sports field croonage, and guidance counselors writing erotic fiction in their spare time was invented. And William's earliest works were comedies and historical plays and are regarded among his best works. So 10 Things I Hate About You and its source material, The Taming of the Shrew, both follow two sisters and their different love interests, and of course said love interests desire to tame said women. Both sisters are vastly different. The oldest, Kat, is generally regarded as a shrew who needs to be tamed, while her younger sister, Bianca, is desirable, fun, young, and not so much needing to be tamed. And of course, in William's day, English women did not have power or much agency over their suitors, or in many cases, who they were allowed to marry or who was allowed to tame them. Even though the reigning monarch was Queen Elizabeth, there were in fact medieval laws against women being shrews toward their husbands. Of course, in 10 Things I Hate About You, there remains the competition between Hot Rod Tony, Cameron, and they are both vying for the attention of Bianca. Bianca, of course, is played by Larissa Olnick and significantly less shrewish than her older sister, Kat, played by Julia Stiles, and she only has two suitors, whereas in the play, Bianca had three suitors. And another difference between the movie and the play is that the play had a framing device known as an induction, and this is essentially a story within a story. Taming of the Shrew begins with town drunkard Christopher Sly taken advantage by a trickster. Said trickster, a nobleman, manages to convince Sly that he is also a nobleman. The two then order a play to be performed, and Taming of the Shrew is the play that gets performed. Now, 10 Things I Hate About You forgoes this framing device completely and instead introduces all of the main characters rather quickly, introduces all of the high school cliques that exist at Padua High School. One of the best parallels between the play and the movie are the names of the sisters themselves. Of course, we have Kat, played by Julia Stiles, and Bianca, played by Larissa Olnick, but their last name is Stratford, and of course, William Shakespeare was born in Stratford-on-Avon, played by the late great Heath Ledger. Patrick's last name is Verona, who Shakespeare fans will recognize as many settings for many of Shakespeare's plays, including Romeo and Juliet. William's writing is woven throughout the movie. Often we hear the characters use flowery language. And of course, one of the songs performed in 10 Things I Hate About You is Cruel to Be Kind. And this is a line from Hamlet. And to the best of my knowledge, Hamlet has not gotten a teen rom-com treatment, and what I do know about Hamlet, I don't think that's possible. And the tagline for the movie was, "How do I loathe thee? Let me count the ways." And of course, this is an obvious play on the line, "How do I love thee? Let Me Count the Ways. Interesting though is a lot of people, myself included, falsely credit Shakespeare with the line, "How do I love thee, let me count the ways," but it was actually written by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, or maybe Christopher Marlowe wrote that, but that's a subject for a different episode. Despite the similarities and differences between the play and the movie, 10 Things I Hate About You remains a beloved teen comedy. And instead of a soundstage, all scenes were filmed on location throughout the Seattle and Tacoma area, including Stadium High School that became Padua High School. Another nod to the Bard himself. For the scene where Patrick dances on the high school bleachers, Ledger took inspiration from none other than Fred Astaire. And 10 Things I Hate About You provided breakout roles to much of the cast, including Heath Ledger, this was his first American movie, Julia Stiles, Larissa Olnick, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Gabrielle Union. And Heath Ledger was also nominated for an MTV Movie Award for Best Musical Performance when he sang Can't Take My Eyes Off You by the Four Seasons. And even though the play did not feature a soundtrack beyond probably harps and flutes, the film's soundtrack featured Letters to Cleo and, again, performing their iconic cover of I Want You to Want Me and Cruel to Be Kind. And I think it's safe to say that William himself would have found the modern adaptation of The Taming of the Shrew, 10 Things I Hate About You, charming. You have the high school romance tropes, the humor, the amazing storytelling, and just a great all-around film. So go ahead and give the subscribe button a fancy pen stroke so you never miss anything. As you know, new episodes of the Real Relationships podcast premiere every Thursday. New episodes of this show also premiere every Thursday. And you can find Real Relationships on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We are also on Facebook, and if you want to scribe a note to us, we can be found at the Real Relationships Podcast at gmail.com. Thank you, stay safe, and we will see you soon.